Hi, this is Adrian from White Hat Automation. We're going to look at another way of spinning an article. Earlier on we looked at the manual way of spinning articles, where you manually choose synonyms for the words that are highlighted in the text. But there is another way of spinning articles, and that is for SpinnerChief to automatically insert synonyms for the words in your article. And we'll have a look at this and see how SpinnerChief can do this. So here's in some text that I've got pasted into the edit window, and I'll just click on the spin button now. And this checkbox here is the one that is the important one. If it's checked, then SpinnerChief will insert synonyms for all of the words that it has synonyms for in your article. If you uncheck it like that, it'll only spin the synonyms that you've entered in manually. So we're going to check this auto spin box and look at a couple of other settings as well. Auto spin frequency here, I've set it at 1. That means that every time it comes across a word or phrase that it's got synonyms for, it will insert a synonym. So it's going to pretty much spin the whole article all the way through. And we'll just have a look at another setting here. In the Thesaurus tab, you can check in this drop-down box which type of synonym replacement that you want SpinnerChief to operate. There's basically two ways of doing it. It can insert words, simple words. It's looking for one word in an article for which it will substitute words or phrases. So that's when you're asking it to look for single words, or you can ask it to look for phrases, whereas it would look for phrases of any number of words to or over. And I'll explain that in a minute, but let's go back to the word setting. So it's only going to look for single words for which it's got synonyms for, and that's going to be, because of the size of the thesaurus, that's going to be pretty much every word in the article. So let's click on the spin button and see what happens. I've got 3 articles set, so we'll see if it'll spin 3 articles for us. There we are, that didn't take long. Well, it's spun the 3 articles, and they are well spun, and they're all probably going to be unique. Well, let's have a look at the actual quality of the content. If we start reading this spun article here, the actual almost all fundamental method with regard to effective excess weight decrease is actually in order to burn off much more calories from fat compared to a person get within. Now, it's not really making sense, is it? And this is the problem. When you ask SpinnerChief to insert its own synonyms, it doesn't really know what's going to make sense and what isn't going to make sense. It can only do what you tell it to do. So this kind of auto spinning is okay, for example, if you want to use content for backlinks. Any type of content where humans aren't actually going to read the content. It is a very good way of getting unique content, but of course it doesn't make much sense. So if we close that off, we can have a look at another way of spinning, see if we can improve the quality a bit. I've pressed the preview by mistake there. So if we have a look at the spin dialog again, we could use everyone's favourites, that is the cloud favourites. The SpinnerChief server uses everyone's favourites, gathers everyone's favourites together, and you have the option of using everyone's favourites. So that should improve the spin a bit. And in the basic settings, we don't really need to spin every single word in the article for it to be unique. Usually round about every 3rd or 4th word is enough to make the article unique. And of course, if we are not spinning the words in between, then there's a better chance of it actually making sense, assuming that the original article makes sense in the first place. So let's spin on those new settings and see what happens. So we'll spin the articles again. Let's see if this makes any better sense. The actual most basic method for effective weight reduction is actually to burn much more calories from fat than you get in. It's beginning to make a little bit more sense, isn't it? Not perfect. Let's try the next sentence. A person can do this particular through cutting down on high-fat meals. You're beginning to kind of get the understanding of what it means, but it's not really human readable, is it? So what else can we do? The problem is the more you make it human readable, the less likely it is to be unique. So let's have a look and see what other settings we can get from SpinnerChief. Well, if I leave those settings the same, there's something else we can do with the thesaurus. We looked at this earlier. If we ask SpinnerChief to look for phrases rather than single words, then there's a better chance of getting something that's more human readable. And if you think about it, there's a reason for that. If you take any 2 or 3 word phrase or even 4 word phrase, the chances are that when you replace that with something, with a synonym, it's probably going to mean something similar. The replacement word or phrase is going to mean something similar. For example, if you say, let's eat, if you replace that with a synonym, for example, let's do lunch, then those two are pretty much mean the same thing, don't they? So you've got a much better chance of getting something that's human readable. So we're going to spin using this phrase, only using phrases now. And because of that, we don't need to bother with everyone's favourites, because the overriding factor is the fact that we're looking for phrases. And if I go back to the basic settings, now that we're only looking for phrases, I want to replace every phrase that I find, because there aren't so many phrases in the thesaurus. The vast majority of synonyms in the thesaurus are single words. So we want to use every one we possibly can when we're using phrases. So let's spin on that setting and see what we can get. Okay, so let's read this now. The standard method for successful weight reduction would be to burn more calories than you consume. That you can do this by reducing high-fat food. So it's nearly human readable, but not quite. Let's try the next one. Benefiting from exercise is definitely advisable. Don't just drive everywhere, and sometimes take a stroll to nearby places which you visit. So that's helping a lot more with the human readability. Actually keeping it human readable and keeping it unique is the trick. That's always very difficult. But with SpinnerChief, you can be set well on the way to achieving that. So this is just another way of spinning, auto spinning. It's not for everybody, but some users need it for their purposes. Thanks for watching, and look out for the next tutorial.